Hi kids, tonight is meatloaf night. I am going to show you one of a merge of two different recipes that I found. One I like for the texture of the meatloaf itself, and one is for the topping. I've modified both, of course, for our dietary needs, but I think I want to share it with you because I think you'll really enjoy it. So I'm going to flip the camera around and let you see what I've gotten prepped ready for the cook. All right, so I have a cooking spray and my choice of oil, some liquid amino acids, but this is a substitute for soy sauce, some salt and pepper, my ground beef, that's about 2.5 pounds, and then over here are all of my vegetables and other fixings that I'm going to put inside of the meatloaf. Now back here, this is a great kitchen hack, which I'm going to show you what that's for here in a bit. But if you don't have one of these, and of course there's a lot of them, different places you can get them, this thing is great. And when I found out, if you take and make a slice and dice type of thing for your carrots and your celery about that thickness, that'll give you some idea about how much it is. The same with this, that you can use this device here, and it saves a lot of time doing slicing and dicing. So yes, it has been used because that's what I did for the celery and the carrots that I have already. So I'm going to start the saute pan. I'm going to get it warm and start doing some vegetables. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, kids, so the pan is hot. I checked it by just sticking a clove of garlic in there. You see how it's sizzling? So we'll go ahead and add my garlic and my celery. Whoops, I'll wait on my celery here just a second. We're going to add my garlic. Okay, we got our garlic going. I'm going to add the onions now. I put a little avocado oil in there. I had sprayed it down initially with some cooking spray, but it wasn't really quite enough on there, and it started to scorch, and I didn't want it to do that. So I'm going to add the onions, and we're going to let those cook just a little bit. I'm going to salt and pepper them, and then I'm going to add the carrots and celery in there. And basically what we want to do is just to get them where they just start to cook. Okay, so we'll add a little bit of salt here. This is Himalayan sea salt, and some granulated pepper. Like that. Set those aside for just a moment. Let this cook. You start to see it start to change to translucent color already, which is a good thing. Oh, there's a chunk of onion that didn't get chopped up really very well, but that's okay. We'll surprise the hubby with that one. He'll probably end up getting it anyway. Alright. Okay, that's doing good. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit more. I'm going to add our celery. We're going to add our carrots, and yes, that looks like a lot, but that's okay because I'm planning on having meatloaf for a few days, and I wanted to make a large batch, so this is fine. We're just going to let this cook a little bit, and we'll see what that looks like here in a few minutes. Okay, we're back, and this has been cooking about 5 minutes now, and the vegetables are starting to get tender, and with that small dice from the machine that we were using, the carrots are cooking up pretty quick. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add our spices here, stick them on top of that, mix it in really, really well. Let that cook a little bit longer, and in the meantime we're going to prep our meat mixture. Okay, so before we go to the meat mixture, I want to just show you that. I just stirred all the spices in, and I can tell you this right now, as that is starting to cook and those spices are getting warm with all those vegetables, this is smelling wonderful. So this is going to go in our meat mixture, but let's go over here for just a second. Okay, so over here in a big bowl, I have 2.5 pounds of ground beef. This is lean, 93.7, and to it, we're going to add our cheese and some almond flour right there. Now, if you have someone in your family that has nut allergies like I do, then you can substitute some breadcrumbs for this. I prefer to use something like a pre-seasoned Italian type mix, but you can do it like you want to, or some people even use ground up oatmeal or leftover stale bread. It works good. This is some Parmesan cheese. We're going to dump that in here. We're going to put our eggs in. I went ahead and whipped them up. I'll pour that in there like that. And then I'm going to add my amino acids to it, which is a substitute for some soy sauce. And I'm going to pour that here just a little bit and get ready to dump that in. Okay, I'm measuring that out right now as we speak. And I'm going to go ahead, and try to pour that in there without spilling it all over my countertop. So there we go. And then I'm going to get this all mixed together, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so while you were away, I was away just for a few minutes, I went ahead and the vegetables are done. They have been off the stove for a little bit. They're still hot, but I need to let them cool down a little bit. But I've also preheated the oven. That's what you're just hearing right now. Preheated it to 400 degrees. I have taken and gotten my meat mixture all mixed up with all that wonderful ingredients that we had, the cheese and the almond flour and eggs and all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, too, I got my enameled cast iron casserole out. I have generously greased it. There's a reason why I have done that, so we won't let it stick. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our vegetables here, dump them into our meat mixture, and slowly take and work that in to where everything's all incorporated. I'm going to do a little bit at a time because it's still really hot. And then we'll be back in just a minute. All right, so everything's all incorporated and mixed, and I've started to put it into my cast iron pan. But I wanted to show you why I had this out earlier. I wish my mom would have shown this to me when I was a kid. This is a kitchen hack. You want something that is oven safe. This happens to be made by a leading manufacturer that does those kind of things with bakery safe, oven safe things. So I'm going to take and put this right in the middle, right like that. I'm going to continue to take and put my meat mixture around the outside edge here until I get a nice ring. This right here acts like a little suction cup, and as the meat cooks, all the extra grease normally that you would be sitting in when you're done is going to be sucked up inside this little guy right here, so that we can take this out and it'll be a little bit more lean. So that's what I'm going to do for now, and I'll show you in just a moment. All right, kiddos, so I got everything in the enameled pan. See how I did it? And I made a little edge around the outside of it here to give it an opportunity for any of the grease that might need to gather out there can. And then I just took this guy right here and kind of just wiggled him in the middle. So that way we got a nice little seat, and we have a little bit of an edge around the outside for the grease to get sucked up in. And so I'm going to put it in the oven. Like I said, it's preheated to 400, and we'll be back after a while whenever it's done cooked. Okay, kiddos, so it's been in the oven for about half an hour now at 400. I pulled it out to take a look and see how it's doing. It's not quite up to temperature, but this is a really good time to take a look and see how it's doing. Alrighty, well, my cup did not work as well as I wanted it to. It should typically pull all of that liquid up inside here, but it didn't. This right here is still cooking well, but what I'm going to do now is add the toppings that I want to have on it, which is going to be some bacon bits and some ketchup. So I'm going to put that on there and then put it back in the oven without the lid for about another 10 to 15 minutes or so, and that should finish up the cook. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just taking and sprinkling some real bacon bits on top of this. This is not the fake stuff, but some good stuff on here. And then I'm going to top it with some ketchup. This is a no sugar, low sugar. I'm really picky with that. And I'm just going to kind of generously cover up the top of this guy here. And just like that. And I'm going to slap him back in the oven for a little while, uncovered. And we'll see what it's like in about, 15 minutes or so. Alrighty, just got done out of the oven. It's up to temp. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, there she is, right out of the oven. You can see that we got the ketchup and the bacon bits all kind of married into the top of it. I'm going to scoop this out, let it rest for a few minutes before I serve it up. Alrighty, there she is, out of the oven on a platter, ready to eat. Hope you enjoy. Be blessed.